Welcome back, everybody, to the Pittsburgh Pirates franchise here on MLB The Show 20. As today, we have a lot to go over. The trade deadline is upon us. Our Pirates are half a game behind the Milwaukee Brewers for first place in the NL Central. So obviously, we will be making moves today. We're only going to play one game instead of the usual two because of the trade deadline. But we will do quite a bit of simming. We're going to go through most of August today. So we're going through pretty much the normal length that we would if I was doing two games, but instead I'm only doing one. I think I'm going to simulate past the 21st, get to this series against Milwaukee. We have 3 series left against Milwaukee, 2 in late August and 1 of them in early September. So as I go through the team, I want to try to find holes and figure out where we could look to make improvements. But before that, I want to show you guys how dominant Pablo Cairo is at the moment. He is currently hitting .354, which is noticeably higher than anybody else in the major leagues. His wins above replacement is at 6.4. I think the next highest is like 5.9, which is a pretty big difference. So Pablo Cairo is head and shoulders above everybody else in the major leagues in average and WAR. Not to mention his power has really come along, so quite the season from Pablo Cairo, and the kid's only 20 years old. And for the most part, I really like where our lineup is at. We have 8 really good starters. Don't need to see much change there. Maybe we want to add another bench bat. That could be something we look at, but if we do make change, it will be with the pitching. The pitching rotation has been good for the most part, so if we did make change, it would be with the bullpen. I brought up the idea last episode of moving Jordan Yamamoto to the long reliever role and making Mitch Keller the starter, but this is when Mitch Keller's ERA was at like 2.6, now it's at like 5. Another player we could look at to potentially become a starter in our rotation is Patrick Magana, who is our top prospect. But I really plan on addressing the bullpen today. I want to add another really good arm. For what it's worth, ever since we switched the closer from Ken Giles to Jose Alvarado, Alvarado is still playing really well, and Ken Giles has actually improved. So that's really good to see, but I would like to add another bullpen arm. So as you can see, us and the Brewers are the 2 best teams in the National League, and I want to look out for teams who are not playing great baseball right now, because those are the teams that we're going to potentially try to make moves with. Teams like the Giants, Phillies, Braves, Dodgers, watch out for them. They all are trying to sell off some pieces, so maybe we could look at them. In the American League, look at the Cleveland Indians, or I guess now the Cleveland baseball team. They are 54-53, the defending champions. They started off the season really poorly, and now the baseball team is playing a lot better. But some teams to watch out for: Red Sox, Mariners, Rangers, they're all selling, so we could look at doing that. So as I go through the relievers, the highest rated non-closer is Jose Alvarado. But a name I come across that makes a lot of sense is Carl Edwards Jr. from the Mets. He has an ERA of .46. He has only allowed 1 run in 19.2 innings, and he's been dominant. Edwards is a free agent at the end of the year, so we don't have to worry about paying him. The Mets are the second wild card currently in the NL, so that's the only reason why I was a little bit on the fence about this for realism's sake. But I strung together a deal that I think makes sense for both teams. We will be receiving Edwards from the Mets, along with a couple older prospects in Rodolfo Martinez and Luis Guillorme. We had Martinez in our farm system earlier in the series, so he is back. We will be giving them Drew Mendoza, who's a major league caliber third baseman who just happens to be stuck in the minors, Kendrick Davila, who's a minor league body pretty much, and Yaxel Rios, who is a major league quality reliever. So we're not giving the Mets any major league players, but we are giving them 2 guys who are major league capable players. We're also going to be trading away Niko Goodrum here. I like Niko Goodrum a lot as a Tiger fan, but I think this trade is a really solid one. So we're going to be sending Niko to the Rockies along with Rosel Herrera and Patrick Waldron. Waldron is probably the best asset being flipped here, but we have so many relief pitching prospects. We're going to be getting third baseman Miguel Giraldo from the Rockies. He's a 23-year-old bench bat whose upside I really like. The Rockies don't really have the future for him because they have Nolan Arenado right now, and behind him they have a really good 18-year-old third base prospect, so they don't really need Giraldo, so that's why they're willing to give him up. And then the final trade of the day, we're going to be giving away Wander Suero, who has obviously had a very disappointing season for us out of a bullpen. He's pretty much going to be replaced by Carl Edwards Jr., Suero will be going to the Astros for Jesse Miller, a 21-year-old, 72 overall relief pitcher prospect. So, I mean, I didn't really want to send Wander Suero down. I figured I'd get value for him, so I figured I would make that trade. We're going to plug our new guys in. Carl Edwards Jr. will replace Suero as a setup man, and Miguel Geraldo will slide to the bench, pretty much have Nico Goodrum's role going forward. But the difference is Nico Goodrum's a free agent in the offseason, whereas Geraldo is a 23-year-old with upside. So here we go. The trade deadline is complete. The Pirates were very busy making 3 pretty big trades, as they are currently 71-35, taking on the division rival 53-56 Chicago Cubs. Both new additions, Miguel Geraldo and Carl Edwards Jr., are active for today's game. Geraldo will be getting the start at third base. Obviously, he's not going to be an everyday starter, but it is his first game as a Pirate, and Pittsburgh wants to see what he can do. Miguel Andujar will be getting a day off. Joey Lucchesi will be on the mound for Pittsburgh, 10-4, 3.59 ERA. He's had a really solid year. Runner on first after a walk, but he would not stay on base as Albert Almora Jr. will ground into a 1-6-3 double play. Pirates infield is more chemistry than a science project. Ian Happ now up 1-2 pitch, and he will go fishing at the sinker. Good inning of work from the lefty Lucchesi as we go to the bottom of the first. The ace, Kyle Hendricks, on the mound today for the Cubs. He's had a really good year, 8-6, 2.95 ERA. He's looking like that old Cy Young Kyle Hendricks. Here is Pablo Cairo with 1 out. I was gassing him up earlier in the episode, and for good reason. One of the best hitters in baseball right now at just 20 years old. The Venezuelan native Pablo Cairo with an early double. So already the Pirates have themselves a runner in scoring position, 2 away for Oneil Cruz, who is safe at first. It does not guess past Marcus Semien, but he cannot throw it to first in time. So the Pirates now have runners on the corners and 2 away for Dylan Carlson, and this ball is gone deep into right, and the Pirates will take a 3-0 lead. 456 feet, an absolute moonshot from Carlson, his 21st home run of the season, and Pittsburgh is on the board with a statement here in this first inning. Does not look like they're done, though, as the very next batter, Big Ding Benny Lane, will it get out? It does. Unlike Carlson's home run, that one barely goes into the seats. His 23rd home run of the season as the Pirates go back-to-back. Now lead this game 4-0. Let's go to the bottom of the second. Miguel Geraldo's first at-bat as a Pirate will be a single into left field. So, pretty good start to his Pirate career. You cannot complain there with a base hit. Runners on the corners. 2 outs now for Josh Bell. And this time, Chicago will get out of the jam as Marcus Semien will make the play. Score will remain 4-0 through 2. Let's move on to the third inning now. Chicago trying to get on the board. It looks like they're going to do that here as Ty France will open things up with a solo shot into the left center gap. That one will be his 12th home run of the season. 426 feet, and the Cubbies are on the board. They don't have to worry about the shutout as it is now 4-1. Here is Marcus Semien now with 2 away, and this one will be gone if it's fair. It looks like it's going to curve foul, and it goes off the foul pole. Home run for Semien, his 17th. That one looked like it was going to go foul. I think it barely touched the leftward tip of the foul pole. If that was an inch more to the left, it would have been a foul ball. And that's the difference between a run. Let's take a look at this replay, as it definitely did hit the pole, but just barely. Productive inning for the Cubs as they cut the lead in half. One at the bottom of the third, Oneil Cruz gets caught chasing the outside curveball. Nice pitch from Hendricks, who's had a pretty rough day so far. Definitely curious to see if he gets into a groove. And, well, this certainly will not help as he has 2 runners on again. And once again, the Cubs do get out of the jam as Miguel Geraldo will fly out to center field. So the score remains 4-2. But the Cubs have allowed a ton of base runners today. Top of the fourth, Ian Happ trying to open things up strong, and he does with a ground rule double. It seems like the Cubs offense is really starting to play well after a very slow start. 2-1 and 2 out now for Ty France, who had the home run earlier. And this one goes off the wall out in right. One run will score. Francis Staith at second, and the Cubs will make it a one-run game as it is now 4-3. Michael Toglia now up, 2 on, 2 outs, and he capitalizes. Single into center. Both runs will come home to the plate. Toglia is safe at second, and the Chicago Cubs, after starting this game down 4-0, have quickly gained the lead as it is now 5-4, and Chicago is really hitting the ball well. Inning will come to a close as Kyle Hendricks will ground out to second, and the Pirates would take Lucchesi out of the game after that. 4 innings, 5 earned runs. He started the day off really well, and then the last 2 innings, things spiraled down real quick. So the Pirates are going to cut their losses and remove him from the game. Let's go to the bottom of the 4th. Chicago up by 1 as here is the pinch hitter for Lucchesi. It's Brian Hayes who will single it into center. Although the Cubs have the lead, I mean, this Pirates offense has been really good today. So we'll see if they can keep things going here despite the poor pitching. Very next batter, Wander Franco will single it into left. Brian Hayes saw the bobble, so he thought about going 3, retreats back to second, and is called out. So it looks like the bobble out in left actually helped the Cubs as they get Hayes out. That would bring up Pablo Cairo as this one is down the line and fair. Cairo's second double of the game. Brian Hayes would have scored had he stayed on base, so it should be 5-5 right now. But instead it is 5-4. The following batter, Josh Bell, would be walked. And again, the Pirates have a ton of base runners. This time it's loaded here for O'Neal Cruz, who lines this one into right. It's going to be caught, and Franco will head home. The play at the plate is not in time. And the Pirates will tie it up as Wander Franco will score off of the O'Neal Cruz sacrifice fly. So now it's 2-1 and 2 outs for Dylan Carlson, who had this situation earlier today. He went deep. He doesn't go deep this time, but he singles it into center. A run will come home to score. That is Pablo Cairo, and now it is 5-6. Pittsburgh does not believe they're done as Benny Lane hits a single out into center. Josh Bell will score. Carlson is out at third. The run still counts, however, as the Pirates quickly get the lead right back. They put up 3 in the 4th and now lead this game 7-5. Very high scorers so far. Both teams would make pitching changes. Mitch Keller would enter for the Pirates. Pittsburgh trying to get a few innings out of him. And meanwhile, for Chicago, Justin Steele would enter the game. Let's go here to the bottom of the 5th inning. 7-5 remains your score. Runner on and 2 outs for Wander Franco as this ball is hit nicely into right. However, it would be caught. And both Keller and Steele get out of the 5th inning fairly quickly. Let's go to the 6th. Keller's still in as it's the former Pirate, Eduardo Escobar, with nobody out and a runner on. Singling it into center. The runner will advance to third, so the Cubs now have a pair of runners on the corners with nobody out. They have a chance to once again have a big inning and try to make this game closer. Here is Michael Brantley. Looks like a double play ball. Franco does not know what to do, so everybody is safe. Runner scores, and it is now 7-6. 2 on, 2 out now for Jason Hayward, the pinch hitter. He strikes out, so Keller gets out of that inning, only allowing 1 run. I think if you're Mitch Keller, you have to consider that a success, considering the early circumstances. On to the bottom of the 6th inning now. Ross Stripling will enter for Chicago, the former LA Dodger. 1-2 and 1 out for Josh Bell. What a pitch by Ross Stripling. That one looked like it was a ball. It fooled Josh Bell. It fooled me as well. As we go to the top of the 7th, Marcus Semien going fishing. Didn't catch anything with that bait. As you can see, Mitch Keller is still in the game. He strikes out Wilson Contreras to end the inning. Good inning of work from Mitch Keller, and the score will remain 7-6 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. One away here for Francisco Mejia, and this one is gone if it's fair. That one looks awfully close. Unfortunately, it is foul. And now the following pitch, 1-2, and Mejia gets caught completely chasing an outside fastball. Gets it nowhere, and instead of going deep, hits a weak line out over to first base. Top of the 8th now for Brantley. Mitch Keller is still in the game, by the way, as it's weakly hit to third. Geraldo, the throw is in time. The new acquisition, Miguel Geraldo, with a really nice defensive play. Runner on here now for Michael Paglia. He will ground out to second. Quick work by the Pirates, and that would end Mitch Keller's day. 4 innings, only allowing 1 run. He did his job as the long reliever. Now it's time to see if the Cubs can do their job here in the bottom of the 8th and have a chance to tie or take the lead in the 9th. Hector Neris will enter the game here for Philadelphia, as here is Wander Franco up at the plate with a runner on and nobody out. Franco, shop and cap. That one will go for extra bases. The runner will score from first. That's Miguel Andujar, who does make an appearance today. And the RBI double from Franco will now make it 8-6. A couple batters later, it's Josh Bell. This one into straightaway center, and it is gone for a 2-run shot. And the bats have come alive here in the bottom of the 8th. Bell with his 31st home run of the season. You know, I wish the game was 6-9 now. That would have been nice, but instead it is 6-10. Pittsburgh is up by 4, and Neris will be taken out of the game. Kyle Ryan will now enter for Chicago. He has had a pretty rough season. 6.26 ERA. That's not particularly great. As here's O'Neill Cruz with 1 out. Lefty on lefty crime here, and Cruz sends this one deep, and it is gone. Second instance today of back-to-back home runs. In the first inning, it was Carlson and Ling. Now here in the 8th, it's Bell and Cruz. O'Neill Cruz with his 29th home run of the year. And the Pittsburgh Pirates are all of a sudden up by 5 as it is 11-6. Chicago finally gets out of the inning as Benny Ling will ground out to short. So Chicago now down by 5. And they are going into the 9th, going to face off against Carl Edwards Jr., making his Pirates debut. Edwards has spent most of his career with the Chicago Cubs, so he is taking on his former team. 1 on and 1 out for Albert Almora Jr., and this one is gone. In Carl Edwards' first inning as a Pirate, he allows more runs than the first 4 months of the season that he was with the Mets. He only allowed 1 run so far this season with New York, and already has allowed 2 here today, allowing a solo shot to Almora. Doesn't really matter. The Pirates obviously have a comfortable lead. Contreras strikes out, and this game is over. Pittsburgh wins it by the final score of 11-8. A very high-scoring game. Both offenses were really good in this one. The Cubs only had 7 hits, but they were able to get 8 runs. When they got runners on base, they were able to drive them in. Home runs for Semien, France, and Almora, but for them, the pitching struggled. Kyle Hendricks did not look good. Meanwhile, for Pittsburgh, 18 hits, 11 runs. And the thing with this Pittsburgh offense is they score in spurts. 4 runs in the first inning, 3 in the 4th, and 4 in the 8th, and nothing the rest of the way. That's what this Pittsburgh team can do. When they score, they're not scoring 1. Heck, they're not even scoring 2. They are scoring in spurts. The pitching was not great, but doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, a win's a win. So as I exited the game, I saw this statistic pop up on the screen that showed us our statistics for the month of July. As a team, we hit 323. Is that a record for the highest batting average that a single team has hit within the course of a month? Very impressive. The catalyst for that was Pablo Cairo, who unsurprisingly won NL Player of the Month. In July, he hit .478 with 10 home runs and 24 RBIs. Yeah, he was really good. For 3 of the 4 months, we've had a Player of the Month. O'Neill Cruz won it in April, Benny Ling in June, and now Pablo Cairo in July. So we're going to simulate the rest of this Cubs series. Then we have 6 straight divisional games on the road. Now they are against the Reds and the Cardinals, the 2 worst teams in the division. Then a 3-game set at home against Cincinnati, 3 games at home against Washington, in Chicago for 3, and at Miami for 3. So a lot of interdivisional games, but we will not simulate past Milwaukee. That's where we will end up going to. So I simulated this span, and we did pretty solid. So we lost that game against the Cubs. That was only a 2-game series. We obviously won the first game and lost the second. And we won every series so far in the month of August, but only 1 sweep. We beat the Reds and Cardinals 2-1, beat the Reds again 2-1, the Nationals 2-1. Then we sweep Chicago, and then the Marlins 2-1. So that puts us at 85-41. 3 games ahead of the Milwaukee Brewers. It does not look like Milwaukee is playing all that well at the moment. Josh Bell is now the favorite for NL MVP. But we have two very important series coming up against the Brewers. This next one, I believe, is at home, and then the one shortly after is on the road. Jameson Taillon, by the way, is second for Cy Young. I mean, Taillon's played well this year, but I don't think he's Cy Young caliber, but I'm not going to complain. So that will end the episode. Next time, we will go through these series against Milwaukee. Should be fun, and the division very well could be determined next episode. Hope everybody enjoyed. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. And as always, have a good one. I'm out. Peace.